It's on now.
Yeah. Bill, did you see, you got my email? Because we put them out. Have you had a
I went
chance?
by yesterday.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
George, yeah, looks good.
Okay, we're ready?
It's on.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the July 26th meeting of the Albany Port District Commission. My name is Georgette Steffens, and I'm the chairperson, and we'll just go around the room and introduce who's here.
Noel Kinch, Commissioner.
Joe Poppy, Treasurer.
Tom McTaggart, Commissioner.
Bill Ring, Federal Marine Terminals.
Annette Gasperry, Port of Albany.
Tom McGinnis, Port of Albany.
Tony Vassell, Business Development and Marketing Manager.
Patrick Jordan, General Counsel. Eric Smith, Director of Internal Controls and Enterprise Analysis.
Richard Hendrick, General Manager.
All right. Before we get started, I just wanted to recognize Megan and the team. We recently were awarded an award of distinction by the AAPA for our 2015 annual report. And I know we've all had a chance to see our most recent report that we released. Is phenomenal work, and I think it's definitely elevating us within the industry. So congratulations, and thanks for your work on that for the team. So we have two meetings for which we need to approve minutes. The first one is our May 15th commission meeting. If there's no additions or changes, I'll take a motion to approve the May 15th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we have the minutes from our special meeting of May 30th. If there's no additions or changes, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Joe, do you want to give us an update on the Finance Committee meeting?
Yes, briefly, the Finance Committee met this morning, and we're happy to report that we are both solid and liquid. We did get a report from Bob Hennis from Hugh Johnson Advisors, our investment folks who reviewed our portfolio. We're getting a little slightly better yield based on the interest rate market now. We expect that to continue. And Eric gave us an overview of our financials year to date. Our variances are all positive, and the forecast looking forward is also positive. So those are the kind of finance committees I like to share. So we had a good meeting.
All good news. Right. Thank you so much. In your packet, we have a resolution for the tugboat roundup sponsorship request. This is something that we've been doing for several years. We participate in and bring a boat up to. So, Rich, do you want to give a little more detail on the event?
Excuse me, yes. It's an event sponsored by the town of Waterford that draws thousands of visitors. Our boat, the Spirit of Albany, is docked at the facility up there, as well as vintage tugboats, the State Canal System, and several of our tugboat operators, New York State Marine Highway, Moran Towing. But it's a good event to make people aware of the port and what we have. We have a prime location. Tom Beardsley, the manager up there, has made sure that the port has a location of high visibility in return for our sponsorship. We actually lead the tugboat parade of boats from here to the site, and the number of people that get to talk with the employees at the port that are there on the 3 days. The return on the investment is well worth it.
It's very well attended. It's a good event.
What's the date this year?
September, excuse me, bear with me 1 second. September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or 8th, 9th, and 10th. Did it say in the resolution?
No.
I believe it would be 8, 9, and 10, the week following Labor Day. Weekend following Labor Day.
So this, as we talked a lot about our policies and what we can sponsor and cannot, it falls in with supporting maritime industry. And so if there's no questions, I'll take a motion to approve Resolution 11, 2017, where the Port District Commission finds that the sponsorship request is in accordance with our policy and authorizes the general manager to pledge sponsorship for the 2017 tugboat roundup in an amount not to exceed $500.
So
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you so much. So we've talked a few times now about the property over in Rensselaer and the request for a new lease and a tenant over there, but Rich, I'll turn it over to you to give a bigger overview on that project.
Spartan Materials has been in contact with both Federal Marine and the port, as well as the city of Rensselaer. They would like to locate on a 2-acre parcel that is within the port area next or adjacent to Rensselaer Iron and Steel. We have had numerous talks with Jeffrey Mathers, the CEO of the company. They're looking for a long-term 20-year lease where they've in discussions, they've guaranteed minimum tonnages and market rate for the property. Pat has been working with their councils and developing a proposed lease. We have done a 90-day public notice to the governor, the Assembly, the Senate, the Comptroller, and the Authority's Budget Office as we have negotiated the terms of this lease rather than responding to an RFP. All the terms of the lease are in excess of a market rate for the property, and we're recommending that at the end of the 90 days that I have the authority to enter into the lease with Spartan Materials. Pat, is there anything you want to add?
No, we're still working with the City of Rensselaer Planning Department, Building Department to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. Once they get their building application in, then we'll sit down with them and make sure that all the environmental concerns that this board would have and we would have are addressed. No one's going to be looking over their shoulders in a few years saying how this gets over. But the planning board commission over there already approved it. We can be back in front of them for some further seeker determinations after the 90 days or towards the end of the 90 days whenever they want to schedule us to come and discuss it with them. Like Rich said, the appraisal we had over there, we've met that. There's no diminution of dockage or warpage, so we're going to be getting every penny out of it, and it will employ several gangs of FMT workers, so that's a plus for the port, especially on that side of the river, which is rather underutilized. We'll now be seeing the city of Rensselaer will be seeing work done on their shores, which I think is a plus for the other side of the river.
At the seeker, it usually address the actions that the project may, impact on the environment.
Correct.
Is there any baseline environmental subsurface that we're looking at prior to occupancy?
No. As far as I can tell, the seeker is into the city, but has not been reviewed.
But I think the baseline thing would be more of arbitrariness kind of outside the seeker as an environmental issue. Typically, if you're the tenant, you'd be doing the phase one, but as the land, we'd be concerned 20 years from now that what's there underground may not have been there when we started. So I guess that's what I meant by the baseline.
So we're going to, we're in discussion right now, because the 90-day notice just went out, because we just finished the terms a couple weeks ago, and we didn't want to jump the gun. We have asked them to authorize them to get on site with their own environmental firms and start doing borings and testing, and we'll with the understanding that those will be shared with us.
Good, thank you.
Dominic, is there anything, do you have any questions or concerns or any support you want to express?
Planning board has no
Mhm.
problems. So most sounds like it's all gonna be done within inside the building, just like the blacktop company. There's very little emissions from the process.
The product is, fly ash, which is going to be an additive into any state DOT concrete mixes. Their original approach is that it's coming in 1.5 ton super sacks, similar to the commodity, that's on the dock over there now, the calcium chloride. It'll be moved from the ship to a building that is fully enclosed with filtration systems and vacuums, and then all of the work, loading of trucks and any other way of transport will be done inside the building, which I believe he went as far as to say at negative pressure, so that it's all state-of-the-art filtration that they'll be proposing to the city rental building department when they come up with the final plans for the building.
I've gone through as much as I can find, which is landed on the, because you had brought up, Joe, the fugitive dust emissions. There aren't a lot of these facilities in the state, so I looked at that and more along the lines of, Lafarge and those kind of things. And the DEC's site evaluations and studies that I've seen basically say that there's negative pressure / pneumatic systems that are proven that everything's within the building and everything, nothing's touched by hand and everything is in, that these don't seem to have.
Yeah, the negative pressure a lot of times runs through the.
Exactly, they have no issues really is what it comes down to.
It's a good process.
Many required DEC permits or?
That I'm still going through, need to talk to them about how close is it to the river, and if we have a different requirement for if we do something right here versus obviously we know the requirements over around the dock. So I have some, Rich and I and everybody have pretty good communication with certain people there, and just take their lead, and if they say we have to get this permit, we'll get that permit.
They may need an air permit for the ventilation system.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be a negative, it's going to be an exhaust. Process control.
Coastal permit is what I'm thinking we're gonna need. Just don't know if they're gonna say, well, this isn't, the facility's not on the dock, and it's actually, a couple hundred feet from the dock.
Right.
It's separate, but they'll take their lead on what they want us to do.
What, so when would they look, so after the 90 days, they'd be ready to enter into the lease? And when would construction begin, and how long does it take to build the plant?
Immediately upon the 90 days, they'll start construction. We'll sort of be out of the shipping season then, it sounds like, so I don't think they will, as aggressively be building, But I think these buildings go up in a couple months. It's pretty fast.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay, so with no other questions, I'll take a motion to approve resolution 12-2017, where we desire to enter into a lease agreement with Spartan Materials for the occupancy of a 2-acre portion of our port maritime terminal located in the city of Rensselaer. The parcel carries an appraised value of $17,500 annual rent per acre. Spartan has proposed leasing for 20 years with 2 5-year extensions. This resolution authorizes the general manager to execute any documents necessary to effect the disposition of the parcel for the terms described above at a rent or rate of not less than the appraised value of the parcel. Do you have a motion to approve? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so I believe that we've also discussed Cargill and Ardent Mills, and so before you we have a resolution for assignment of the lease, of Cargill's grain elevator lease to, Ardent Mills. Rich, do you wanna give a little more detail?
Excuse me, yes, the, Cargill Corporation and one of its, subsidiary companies, Ardent Mills, Cargill is a minority, partner in that conglomerate. They've approached us and have, in a way of furthering Ardent's footprint here, want to assign the lease that they have for the grain elevator to Ardent Mills. That lease runs currently through 2018. We have, Eric has had extensive talks with the manager of Ardent Mills as well as Cargill. The terms of the lease, as they are now through 18, would remain in effect. Cargill is not in any default at all. They just, as we explained before, they have a different business operation now and are looking to assign the operation of that to their partner, Ardent Mills. We've had talks with Ardent where they want to continue long term and are proposing several improvements to the facility down there, and with the assignment of the lease, they can begin to develop the future expansions.
Right, and the
Which would
assignment.
mean,
no,
means
go
either a new lease or an extension of what they have. Either way.
Yeah, I think because the lease terminates, and I've already informed Ardent Mills, you know, we know what fair market value is and you know, I'd hate to, you know, backtrack from the progress we had made
Right.
with Cargill, but I did say, you know, the first step is, you know, we can't unreasonably withhold our consent, so we'll get the assignment done. As Rich had indicated, you know, they might be looking for a term, up to 35 years. They've indicated that, the extent and scope of their capital investment could, result in the grain elevator actually being able to, import or accept, grain via vessel. So once this step occurs, we'll begin active negotiations with Ardent and be prepared to bring that back to you all.
Are there any other questions? Okay, so before you have resolution 13-2017, where the court authorizes the general manager to execute a request of assignment and memorandum of release, the current lease with Cargill, and assignment to Ardent Mills LLC. You take a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Rich, do you want to give some development updates?
Yeah, the work at the wharf project has begun. We've notified the Army Corps and New York State DEC last week that work would be beginning this week. Harrison Burroughs is on site down there. They've already opened up the tunnel that goes to Cargill as part of the project. We're going to shorten that tunnel and remove the generators from inside the tunnel, put them up on ground. They've started to excavate around the stormwater manholes. We switched the way we were going to originally do the project. At first, we were going to start the north end first, do the roll-on, roll-off ramp for the barge berth. We looked at it over the past couple months and seen that it was going to be more feasible start the project at the south end, work to the north. It'll give us, it will alleviate a lot of lay-down area problems. And as the work was going on the south end, it was going to be tough getting around the barge slip had that been built first. So we started down the south end. We are in the process, Pat's working with state DOT on all the announcement or notifications we have to do, because we have to do a contract adjustment on that. We knew during the bid process, because we had to put in a CDS unit on the south end for stormwater management, that we would work with the successful contractor on the bid to put that in. They were all informed during the bid process that that was a necessary add-on to the job, but we didn't rewrite all of the specs on the job. Said that our engineer, Moffett Nickel, had designed it, and that we would work with the successful contractor to add that in. We are, as I said, Pat's working with DOT on the notifications for the adjustment. The price that we got from the contractor is actually less than what the engineers had estimated it at, so we're happy with how that's going along, and that it was well within what we had anticipated for a contract adjustment. We're still going to be close to budget on the work at the dock. We also started work on the warehouse project. Regal Rail is in. They've uncovered the rail, removed all the ballast. Jersen is shooting the elevations for the existing rail so that when it is replaced, it will go back in at the same elevation, and there'll be no change to the access to both the new warehouse, Warehouse B, and Warehouse A, as the track will run through the new one to get to the other two. Fencing will be delivered next week for the project site, so that when Jersen and one of their subcontractors start the foundation work, there will be nobody entering the site other than workers. We hope later this, in the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, we'll start the engineering work that needs to be done for Shed 1 to be replaced from where it is now. We're moving it to the upland side along Smith Boulevard to take it off of the water so that we can improve the dock surface and light the marine surface underneath. Other than that, that's about it with those three projects. We're working with a company on possibly moving on to the site that we have on the west side of South Pearl Street, that 20-plus acre parcel that there we're having talks now. Hopefully we can have something a little more solid on that for next month, but that changes weekly. And we're still working with now C.B. Richard Ellis on the new lease for the DEC building. C.B. Richard Ellis was hired by New York State OGS to handle any lease negotiations for the state. Eric has been talking with both OGS contacts and Ellis to come up with a new lease on that. Right now, we're month to month with DEC. Every indication is that we'll come to terms on a new lease. I think that's about it on any of
question, I'm not trying to get granular, on the stormwater separator issue, that's gonna be a change order to the contract, we didn't have an allowance in that contract for that item?
It didn't actually exist,
But,
in the project specs
yeah, I
at
guess
all.
but when we knew it was gonna get done from Nickel, we probably could have built an allowance into the, figure of contract for whatever that engineer's estimate was, then the change order would be to adjust it, so we have it to start with.
We did have an allowance in there,
There might be a placeholder and
Yeah,
a
that's
dollar
Yeah.
amount, but but the actual, I don't think the actual unit appears anywhere in it, which I think is all that DOT cares about. They wanna see where it's gonna be on the, 'cause that came up like, literally
Well, it's
after the plans
not
were
really
printed.
changing the contract amount.
it'll add,
I can't say that for sure.
yeah, it may, the contract amount was, 16.3.
Yeah, something like that.
It may add, 50 to 60,000, to the
So it is a
contract.
change order. I guess, because the other question I was asking is, because we're still under budget, do we have kind of an established contingency value or amount for the contract? 3%, 4%, 5%, because stuff is always gonna come
Yeah,
up.
right,
you know,
yeah,
right.
Particularly when we're.
I think that's the piece I
Yes.
was thinking of, that's already
Yeah,
built in.
there was built into the contract by the engineers a contingency, for cost overruns, hopefully for cost shortfalls. But this here was, the add-on was that we didn't know the price at the time. We didn't wanna slow down the bidding process and miss another building season.
Yeah, but in the future, when we have those kinds of unknowns, we can build into the contract an allowance and just say it's $100,000. So everybody bids it, and it's $100,000, everybody's gonna have to include it in the contract. Then if it's $70,000, change order at the end of the job would deduct $30,000 from the contract.
Yeah.
That's how you can do it, keep things moving without holding anything
Trying to
up.
think of it actually.
That happens all the time with stuff we're doing too.
It's been a couple months, Joe. I can't say that we didn't.
Yeah, again, like I said, I'm trying to get granular,
No,
I'm just trying to figure out ultimately, as we move forward, you know, we have a project budget, we have a contractor with an amount, you know, do we have a contingency in the budget for the
I
work?
know all
that
the contractors knew the work would have to occur, and I know we have some
Yeah,
placeholder,
it's a move.
but I know that it doesn't exist anywhere in the plans because those were
Gotcha.
submitted before this even came to a head.
And so, I know, Rich is working through, people's schedules, but we hope to have a press conference, kicking off the, projects, soon.
Yeah, Megan had sent an email to ESP and some others this week, and waiting to hear back on everybody's.
Summer schedules are
Calendars.
tough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially, trying to get them in before school starts, so, but hopefully we'll have a date on that soon and we'll get that out to everyone as well. So there is some emergency repairs that have to be done or are being done, Rich?
Yeah, there's, work inside of shed 4, there was an accident, approximately two weeks ago, and a steel I-beam was, damaged to where we needed to bring in an engineering firm, evaluate it and set a process in motion as to how, it would be repaired. It's similar to what, you see on the Patroon Island Bridge. There was, scaffolding built up around it to support the roof of the building while the beam was cut. The concrete in the ground and the pins were replaced, and now the beam, we're in the process of doing it. I haven't had a chance this week to check on the contractors, but the firm that was working on the dock, H&B, actually had everything on site to do the dock work, so they were able to just come up inside of shed 4 and start the process to restore the structural integrity. We're also doing a job. We had an engineering firm, MJ, come down and did an analysis on the wall between shed 4 and shed 5. There were some cracks that we were concerned about. They've given us a report which we're looking at getting a firm in to replace a lot of the brickwork on the firewall between the two buildings.
Is that separate from the incident?
Yes. Yeah, the steel beam was pretty much in the center of shed 4. The wall is at the south end of shed 4, separating 4 and 5. That wall goes from the ground right up through the roof as a firewall, goes about 4 foot above the roof line of the sheds.
And so the work that was done through an emergency?
On the structural beam, yes, we determined that to be an emergency repair, and it was done immediately. We had an engineering firm on site within 2 hours, and the work to stabilize it begun immediately.
There's no other items or questions. Do you have anything else for the general manager's report?
No, that's it for that.
All right, so I know Eric's going to give a real property update about tenants and leases and...
Thank you, just a couple of brief updates. Greco Construction has indicated they're consolidating some of their locations, and at the end of their current lease term, which is next August, so August of 18, they don't intend to renew their lease, so we'll have a vacancy in that building. They pay approximately $71,000 annually.
What is the square footage of their space, do you know?
Top of my head, I don't know, but I can find out.
And is that what their mill
Yeah,
workshop is?
Yeah,
in there?
yes, yep.
Yes, their offices and millwork.
Additionally, as Rich has indicated previously, where we were engaged in characterize it as constructive dialogue with FMT for the renewal and the extension of their term here. So there's nothing yet that's been agreed upon to bring to the board, but we continue to have good talks with them.
Is the term up at December 31st, or?
They have a 5-year renewal,
Yeah.
but both parties have indicated interest in going beyond the 5 years and negotiating some of the other components of the agreement now.
So hopefully more to report maybe at the next meeting.
Yes.
Or the meeting after that.
Yeah. Well, Bill would just stop holding up the conversation. Just kidding. Just kidding.
It's me, actually.
Just kidding. Okay, so are there any questions on the items there brought up? So then we'll turn it over to Tony. As we mentioned in our Finance Committee meeting, it has been a good first 6/7 months here at the Port, and so we're excited to hear about it.
Okay. Well, before we hit that, comment on our 4th Annual Port Industry Day, which was held Thursday, June the 15th. Attendance reached the previous record last year's, around 160. A lot of positive comments about our speakers, Lauren Brand of NARAD, where we got the $17 million Tiger grant. John Donaldson, the Executive Director, Port of Gulfport, who covered the benefits of Tiger grants, and Andrew Kennedy. A lot of comments about that, a lot of comments about the venue overall, and so we're getting ready to plan for our 5th one.
Yeah, you guys do a really great job of being topical, right? For finding the right people for what's happening here at the port and keeping it fresh. I thought the gentleman from the other port was, I think it allowed us to see what we're moving towards, and I think people seemed excited afterwards. So nice job. Really great.
Just so you know, I received an email from someone who attended, really sending praises.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so, and I'll forward it to you so you have it too. They were very, very impressed.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, everyone contributed to it, so it was a team effort, and it's good to hear news like that. Thank you. We've conducted a number of tours also for prospects, and one of those is Walker International, looking at some import railway cars. Also, we had Sinotrans, which is the largest Chinese freight forwarding company based out of Beijing, working on some projects with them. And the new CSX International manager out of Jacksonville was in yesterday, so we're going to try to expand efforts. And I've known this gentleman for a number of years, kept contact with him. He's been in and out of international, so we walked away with a good feeling yesterday. So, to the point, our good previous 6 months. Take a look at the revised ships and barge report. Tom McGinnis and I have revised the ships, barge, and tonnage report. And it's basically the same information, just reconfigured to highlight and clarify outbound and inbound tonnage, cargo movements, and trends. Also, take into account of new types of cargoes that we've secured, and improve the information for planning and decision-making down the road. And if you take a look at the first page, the ships and barges, we're looking, the two top charts we're going on a basis of outbound and inbound to further identify. And the first chart on the left will be outbound. As you can see, that totals column matched at 3, and then shifting over to the right to the inbound, we had 5 inbound, 2 last year, 5 this year, and in that were 2 wind energy vessels. This is we haven't handled wind energy for a while, and this particular one we had first-time towers. We have the blades and the cells with that for a project in Searsburg, Vermont, the Deerfield project. We're anticipating another vessel this month for that project. And then if you ship down right below that, there's the pie chart, and the rust reflects the 5 inbound, and the blue, the 3 outbound. And then shift your eyes over to the left. And that's year-to-date on vessels. And year-to-date total for 2016 was 32. And if you look at the top 2, 10 heavy lift project vessels and barges, total of 20. And that equates to 62% of the overall vessels for last year. You do the same in 2017, we've had 38 vessels, an increase of 6, or 19%. And you take the 24 and the 5, that's 29. So heavy lift project cargo market sector is roughly 78% of our June vessels and barges. So take a moment to look at that if you have any questions. And then the next page, the tonnage report monthly. And now we're going to outbound and inbound, but now we're looking at tonnage rather than vessels and barges. And last June was rather light. On the outbound side, 1237. On the inbound side, 5 1/4. So about 1,762 tons. And this June, we handled 28,000 outbound. That was a scrap ship for 25,000. And the wind energy, mentioned earlier, 2,357 tons. And the heavy lift and project cargo, which has really taken us forward these 6 months, 4,527. So we're up 1,916%. That would be great to do that every year, or month. But what we pointed out here is the fluctuations we have in the commodities.
Sure.
So, any Any questions on that page? Okay. Now, into the last one regarding ships and barges, tonnage report year to date. Basically the same concept, outbound left, inbound right. You can see on the totals, we're down on outbound around 71,000 tons, almost 72. And 52,600 is the grain. And the grain is not moving for a number of reasons. Low prices that the farmers have in the overall market, and that's partially due to the strength of the dollar. And we don't really know what the rest of the year looks like, if anything, for the grain. Down also with scrap iron, 21,800. But on the bright side, we've had our, right now, on Rensselaer side, we have our second scrap ship. And that those two will total around 30 to 32,000 tons, which will put us about 10,000 tons through July over. Now that's on the outbound side. On the inbound side, the heavy lifting project cargo, which that attributed to, as mentioned before, heat recovery steam generating units that are coming in import in the Northeast, as mentioned earlier. A lot of the coal-fired plants are being shut down, and new gas plants are going up. We're the benefactor of some of that. Also, we had the beer tanks, and then on that beer tank vessel, if you look down, we had some steel, 3,157 tons. Also, the urea, 1,106 tons, and mentioned earlier the wind energy. So our inbound is up around 20,000 tons or 44%. Now, when you look at it all, we're still down around 50,000 tons for the year, and you take one look, it's the grain, down 52,000. Any questions on that? And now to the longshore report, which is even healthier. Look at the chart on the left-hand side. Through last June, 17,758. This year, 38,948. Up 21,900, or 120%. What's that? The thing is, our best previous year for longshore hours was September 2014, 10,100. That was during the height of the General Electric Algerian project. And this April, we hit 9,438, which is just about 700 hours short of during that great time of the Algerian electrification project. So at this point in time, after all of that, pass it on to Bill Ring, General Manager of our terminal operator, Federal Marine.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, as mentioned, we had a great June. It was a busy month, not only vessel-wise, but, man-hours. There's a lot of man-hours associated, especially with the wind. And it was such a good month that revenue-wise, it threw us over the next threshold, which is all good news for the port. It just moves us up another level. But now we're in the delivery stages, and there's a lot of man-hours associated with the delivery. So the terminal's been very, very busy, which is pushing the man-hours up. The other part, fortunate and unfortunate, how we're going to look at it, we had to move 3 days, we had to move a lot of GE freight out of the facility to make room for the wind. So there was a lot of work right there, but it had to be done since this cargo was on hold and not going anywhere and taking up space. So that's, that was a little bit of a plus right there. First 6 months, as you mentioned, it's been great. I don't think we're going to see that volume going forward, but we're still looking fairly busy. We have more wind coming in from GE in August, which will keep us busy and add up some more man-hours. We're getting blades in by ship, and we'll get nacelles and hubs in by rail. We'll have all the delivery for that, so that'll pick up again. I wanted to point out on one of the items here on the wood pulp, it shows that we're about 2,200 down from last year, 2 vessels less, which isn't too bad considering that we're getting more cargo per vessel since they're not using Savannah and putting more tonnage in Albany. So I think we're going to see more. I think we're going to go over our years past tonnage on pulp. So even though the vessel count is down, the tonnage is going to exceed what we've seen in the past, which is good. And they seem to be happy with everything we're doing here. As Tony mentioned, with that one ship with the beer tanks, we did get some new cargo. In talking to the urea customer, he wants to ship again. Yeah, so we're waiting to hear. He's trying to find a vessel right now. I think he'd like to bring another 2,000 ton in. He's indicating that that could stay steady. I understand that that is being used for diesel emission. So it's the primary source of whoever's using it. But we do see some GE export coming up in the next couple of months, but like I said, we're looking at a little smaller. Not as much inbound that we see right now. Some of the inbound we anticipated for this year, I think, is going to roll in the first quarter next year. Similar to what you're seeing out there, we saw first half of the year. I think we're going to see a push on that, first quarter 18. So it's good to mean we have that in the pipeline.
Do you have any of the GE cargo scheduled to go out? Or?
There's a project due to go out in August. One of the two projects that are here that are have been dead for the last couple of years is supposed to go out this fall. I'm hoping that happens. That'd be a good shipment. The other one will probably be next year. Yeah, that'll free up some space. It's taking up a lot of space. And we got a few other things out that we've bid on a few new things here and there. Nothing too concrete, but there's a lot of figures coming in. So overall, I think we look pretty good. Just won't be as crazy second half as we were first half. So, but yeah.
Any questions for Tony or Bill? Is there any other business?
I've got a couple things just for executive session.
Any other questions for anyone? No. We're going into executive session to discuss tenant lease negotiations or real property?
Real property and personnel.
Okay. So with that, I'll take a motion to enter executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Okay.
Okay, so there was no action that was taken during executive session. Our next board meeting is, has been moved back 1 week to Wednesday, August 30th at 12:30 p.m. And if there's no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you so much.